I can't stand here too long. I am literally being eaten alive. No prizes for guessing where I am today. I wish I knew the exact location where Joseph Tagg passed away on the moors. Good morning. So first thing is a disclaimer. Where I'm going to walk today and explore today is somewhere I'm not entirely sure of the pronunciation for. So it's Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough. Who knows which one, and I will probably use a variety of those and various other pronunciations for this video. But the first thing I wanted to show you was this. So there you have the remnants of a viaduct that was built during the construction of the reservoirs, and that was for a railway to transport materials up to the dam. And when the water's low, you can see quite clearly the foundations. There's a bit on this side as well, which is out of view at the moment. But prior to the reservoirs being built, when it was just the River Derwent that was flowing, there was a bridge across the River Derwent somewhere around here, and it was called Ouzelden Bridge. If you look at old maps, you can see the old bridge marked, and I've just double checked exactly where it was, and it was slightly over to that direction, so it was somewhere around there where the old bridge crossed over, slightly to the north of the clough. So I'm just going into the clough now. Another point of interest is somewhere up there, some years ago, I can't remember which year, I'll put it on the screen, a quernstone was found by a walker. So a quernstone was a kind of like a very small version of a millstone. It was a very small circular rock that was used for grinding, and they were used for thousands of years. I have explored Ouzelden Clough before. It was a few years back now. It's quite a small clough, but there's a few things of interest. Today I'm going to do something maybe a little bit different. The plan is to wander around and explore the clough, and then climb up out of it and try and locate something, and then really take it from there. The last time I was here, the clough was incredibly overgrown and muddy and slippery, and it'll be interesting to see what it's like now. The old maps show a barn, Ouzelden Barn, approximately where I'm stood now. And I do vaguely remember seeing the remains of some foundations last time I was here, but someone's come along and piled all that down on the ground. I mean, it may have been a little bit further along. I can't remember. It was a few years back. It's difficult to know exactly where the old barn was, because it's quite difficult to exactly line up the old maps with the current maps. But it was somewhere around here. There's a bit of dry stone wall over there, but I don't know whether that's the wall for a building or just literally a bit of leftover dry stone wall. So I don't think this is the remains of the barn. You can see this is a dry stone wall. You can see the shape of the dry stone wall. You can see this, the top section. So this wouldn't have had a roof or anything else above it. This literally would have been the top of it, and it would have simply been a dry stone wall. However, the barn could have been directly in front of it. But I'm pretty sure it's no further into the clough than here. The midges are out in force today. I've applied some smidge, which doesn't seem to be working. I've actually put it on twice now. So I've resorted to my mosquito net. A slight breeze has just picked up though, so hopefully that'll deter them a little bit. So up here there is the ruins of a shooting cabin. I did go there last time I was here. It's very, very overgrown and difficult to reach, and it's really just the foundations and a little bit of wall that's left, and it's really not worth the effort of going back up just to see it. There are a few small trails in the clough, but you can't really get very far along them because there's fallen trees, etc. The map shows a number of falls, but none of them are much bigger or much more impressive than this one. I will go take a look though. It's just full of overgrown trees which are covered in moss. It looks very pretty, but the going is really slow. One of the intriguing things about this place is, although it's completely overgrown and in a really poor state now, in the past there's all kinds of evidence that this was used. That's a pretty deep plunge pool, but you really wouldn't want to go in it. You'd be bitten to death. The midges are everywhere. That slab of rock looks quite interesting. It almost looks like it was standing up. There's less moss on that end there. If you want to come in and explore this for yourself, following the stream is probably not the easiest or best way of doing it. It would be better to kind of work your way through on the upper side and just come down to the stream at various points. Absolutely being eaten alive here. So these are marked on the map as waterfalls. I really don't know what criteria Ordnance Survey used to determine whether something is a waterfall, because these are pretty small and unimpressive. I've seen bigger features than this that haven't been marked on the map. But anyway, this is just one of several. I can't stand here too long. I am literally being eaten alive. Thank God for the mosquito net. It's not helping my hands. These spots really would be very idyllic if it weren't for all these midges and mosquitoes. Where these trees have fallen across the brook, they've made it almost into a tunnel. And there's no way I can get through there, so I'm gonna have to try and get around it. I don't say this lightly, but Ouzelden Clough is extremely hard work. It was last time I came. I don't know what made me think it would be any different today. So I'm getting near the top of the clough now. I haven't bothered going back down to the stream because the waterfalls just aren't worth it. Where I want to go next is over in that direction, but I think the best way for me to get there is to go up somewhere over here, and then when I'm completely out of the clough, walk around. I've reached the top of the tree line and there's a nice breeze which should hopefully keep some of those midges at bay. There is a remnant of a trail here, which I think is what I followed last time, which kind of crosses the brook. But you keep losing the trail, you can't follow it anymore, it's completely overgrown. I think at one point this would have been a really pretty clough with trails around it, and you could have walked around and looked at all the little waterfalls. But that was a very long time ago. So I'm climbing up. There's the top of the clough over there. But the views are starting to open up. So I've made it not quite the very top, but there is a fence line. Now last time I went to Ouzelden Clough, I did something very, very similar. When I got to one of the waterfalls, I think it was the same waterfall that I got to today, where I couldn't get beyond it and I ended up going up the other side. On that occasion I didn't come back down to the stream immediately. I kept going until around about that point I picked up a very faint trail which took me to the top of the clough, near the top of the clough, and I crossed over there and then I came this way. At some point I lost the faint trail and then I ended up coming up here to the fence line, and then I followed the fence line all the way around for quite some distance and then went down the side and checked out that ruined shooting cabin. So that's what I did last time. Okay, I'm over the fence and I think I'm going to stop here for lunch because I'm pretty hungry. The weather's not looking that great, but the good thing about here is there is a bit of a breeze, so hopefully it'll keep the midges away whilst I eat my lunch. So I've had my lunch and now I'm headed towards my next objective, off-piste. So I found it. By chance, I found it. This is the plane crash site that I've been looking for. I actually tried to find this once before and couldn't find it because it wasn't where it was supposed to be. And today, this still isn't where it's supposed to be. I've only found it by chance. I do have a book with the coordinates of this, and this is not exactly where those coordinates say. I'm going to check out the exact spot given though, because there may be more wreckage there. There may be more than one debris pool. I've got no internet and I forget which plane this was, so I'll put the information on screen. There were 2 people on board. They both survived. They both bailed out before the plane crashed, and they both survived. I'm not quite at the location given to me by the book, but I found this. Now this could be natural, or it could be an impact crater. Okay, well, I've had a good look round and I can't find any debris pools other than the one I found, so I think the coordinates must be a bit wrong, and thankfully by chance I found it, because otherwise that would have been the second attempt, the second failed attempt to find that wreckage. Now from this point I could drop back down into Ouzelden Clough on the other side and go out the way I came in, or I could go up and I could join a path and take a slightly different, slightly longer route back, and I think I'm going to do that. So the views are starting to open up. That's where the path is. Made it onto the path. Some fine views today. Visibility on this path isn't always great. So if you go that way, you'll get to Outport Castles. And that's why this path does get quite busy. It's mainly people going to visit Outport Castles. Pretty impressive views. Crookstone Knoll over there. The Great Ridge in the background. There's Backtor, Loose Hill. Win Hill over there. Done that much filming because there's been quite a few groups of people around, so at this point there's various different ways I could go. I could cut through the woodland here, or I could walk a little bit further along here and then cut down through. I know that they're doing some tree felling around the Hagside area, so I'm guessing the footpaths are going to be closed and it's probably not going to be great walking through there. So I'm going to go via Lockerbrook, I think. These little footpaths are not public footpaths. So some of them are not marked on the map. This one isn't marked on the map, but I've used it a few times before. I know it's here. So not far to go now. yeah, that was an okay walk, an all right walk. Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough, Ouzelden Clough, however you say it, it just isn't worth it. I wanted to give it another go, but it just isn't worth it. The waterfalls there just aren't that great, they aren't that big. They've got fallen trees over them, and it's just so much hard work trying to get anywhere along the clough, particularly on a day like today where the midges were just swarming everywhere and biting. I'm covered in bites. It's just not quite worth it. It's got potential, but it's not quite there. But I was very happy to find the plane crash sites. That's my second time to try and locate that. The coordinates I have are wrong. I found it by chance, not quite where the grid reference I have shows it to be. Not that far away, but it's such a small amount of wreckage that you wouldn't see it unless you were on top of it. But the best thing about the walk, I think, were the views on the way back. Incredible.